Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against spitting with a little bit of soul. No times. Bread on tummy time.
Welcome to the Please Remain Calm podcast. I'm Ben Gonzalez.
And I am Daniel Gonzalez.
And we're here with our guest. You want to introduce him?
Yeah, we're here with our guest, Kelly Kilmartin. Kelly, welcome.
Thank you.
Kelly was an engineer with the LAFD. He's since retired. It's funny how life works out because I just happened to run into Kelly. I took my wife's car. I took Bernie's car to the dealer to get her tire fixed. And Kelly pulled up with his wife in their Tesla, and his license plate said like LAX Fire on it.
Yeah.
And I go, and I work at 63s. And so
Yeah.
I just walked up, hey,
Battalion
chit-chat.
buddy.
Yeah, so we started chatting
Yeah.
about the fire department and stuff, and then this story came out that we're going to get into a little bit later. Before we start anything today, I do want to say that all of the opinions expressed here are our own. They do not express the opinions of the LA Fire Department or the LA County Department of Health Services. Let's just clear that up right away.
Thank you.
Also, before we get started, guys, if you are listening right now, it means you picked up your phone and you pushed the button to listen to us because you either subscribe or you heard about us from somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. If you could please go right now on your phone, like the episode, subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment if you can. All this interaction helps us with placement, helps us
Rate and
grow.
review.
It would really help us rate the podcast, all that stuff. If you could do that for each episode you listen to, we would really appreciate that. Now, to get into this story, before we even get into the meat of Kelly's story, I want to kind of lay a little bit of groundwork here. The story we're going to talk about takes place April 29th, 1992. All right?
There was a riot on the street. Tell me where were you?
Exactly.
All right.
The LA riots, okay? Obviously, you know the whole story, Rodney King beating, the whole trial that took place, the cops that were acquitted, the ensuing riots sparked off at Florence and Normandy, which is, I don't know, a mile from my house.
Right.
But quickly spread throughout the city, okay? Before we get into Kelly's story, because it's a story about the first night of the riots, a very serious situation that happened with him and Light Force 50. I want to talk a little bit about what happens when something like that happens, when there's a civil disturbance like that.
Right.
We just had, a whole year, a whole summer of protests all around the country. So this happened in cities all over the place.
Right.
It's not exclusive to any big cities or anything like that. When it happened this time around, to me, I'm on the rescue now, and we're kind of a little bit separated from it. It kind of happened in the Mid-Wilshire area and more downtown area and stuff like that. Being on the rescue, not being on the engine, not being moved up and stuff like that, it felt a little separated, and it felt like a little mini version of the riots. And I was curious about what happens to at Metro when something like that happens. And so I called a friend of mine just to ask about it. And essentially, Metro or dispatch, it's not a whole lot of people up there dispatching.
Right.
Right.
We had a Metro dispatcher, Melissa, on episode 39 about a month ago.
Exactly.
Broke that down for us. It's a limited amount of people, and they're split up between who's taking calls and who's on the radio.
Exactly. And amongst those two, you may have 4 or 5 dispatchers, let's say, and I don't know the exact number. I'm sorry, Melissa, don't get mad at me. You have, let's say, 4 or 5 dispatchers for the Valley, for Central and for Harbor, let's say.
Total.
All those dispatchers are on shifts, right? They're only on the floor for a certain number of hours, right? On the floor actually answering calls, dispatching people. Then they have a break. They'll have a few hours off the floor. They're still working, but they do their wellness. They get their rest, all that stuff, right? After their break, they have their scheduled time back on the floor again. So they'll have their shift back on the floor. It's still a 24-hour shift. They're still there at Metro, which is at Fire Station 4 now. They just have their shifts on the floor, actually on the floor. So when there's a disturbance and Metro gets overwhelmed, because that does happen, there are times when you call 911 and you get a machine that says all dispatchers are busy right now. Please hold, right? Every time I call and I get that, it blows my mind. Right? What if someone was stabbing me right now?
Yeah.
But they do get overwhelmed. I mean, it's limited what they can handle. When that happens, the floor captain is usually a captain one that's basically in charge of the Metro floor. will essentially recall the other dispatchers that are on breaks or not on their floor time.
Right.
So you can quickly double or triple the amount of dispatchers that you have on the floor. Even then, though, when you have something like the LA riots that broke out, man, you're talking about something that spread like wildfire throughout the city.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when we're talking about Metro getting overwhelmed, we might be talking about like, you know, a brush fire and a lot of resources are there and people are still calling. Okay, that's like normal. Metro's getting overwhelmed. Let's call in the dispatch and stuff like that. When you have something that's taken over the entire city,
nothing compares.
Nothing compares. You're talking about structure fires that take multiple companies to extinguish, happening on a block sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, guys were looking down the street and seeing fires starting down the street, which is actually kind of what happened in Kelly's story when we get into it. So you have to understand that not only are the dispatchers dispatching for all the craziness that's happening on the riot as well, but people are still having heart attacks. People are still getting assaulted. You know, there are still rubbish fires. There are still people having babies. You know, there are car accidents. All that stuff's still going on top of every firefighter in the city running calls because of this riot that's happening. Okay?
Right.
So when you talk about overwhelmed, this is beyond overwhelmed, what Metro's dealing with. It's dangerous for a number of reasons. It's dangerous for the public because, you know, obviously we might not have the resources to get to you when you need help. But it's also dangerous for us, right? We have situations, we have safeties put into place at structure fires, at shooting calls and stuff like that for our own safety.
Right.
Right? We got an emergency trigger on our radio when we're in a fire. Holy shit, we get trapped or something like that. Boom. Emergency trigger, it triggers everything. Floor captain gets isolated to one a computer at Metro so that he can figure out what's wrong. All this stuff goes in. Our RIC team goes in to save us. All this stuff goes into play to save us when we're in trouble.
Yeah, safeguard, correct.
Same thing happens when we need PD. Okay, we have different levels of calling for PD. Right, we got if we're going to a known trouble area, we can let Metro know, hey, we're going to this known have PD meet us there. You know, you can call for a backup if there's a belligerent crowd, but they're not really like fighting with you, but they're belligerent, could get out of hand. Let's LAPD backup, please.
Right.
Then we have a help call. All right. Someone's fighting with you. Someone pulls out a knife on you. Someone pulls a gun on you. Okay. Help.
Yeah.
Metro, Life Force 50, help. Okay. A lot of stuff is supposed to happen when that happens. Okay. You put out a help call, you get the lowest, the nearest fire company. You get the closest PD cars, code 3 to your location. You get a helicopter overhead. And even the ones that aren't supposed to be attached to the incident. If you're in the area and you hear a help call go out, boom, you're going. Okay.
Right.
If I'm on rescue 6-3 and I hear rescue, 6-2 give a help call and they're on the east end of their district and I'm driving around, we're going to go. We might not be attached to it, but we're going to go because these guys need help. There's some situation. Maybe we'll get there quicker than the fire engine or something, right? But it triggers this whole emergency system where everybody shows up to help you, okay? But now we're overwhelmed. And if we're overwhelmed, PD's overwhelmed, okay? Especially in a riot situation, okay? These are just organizations filled and run with people. And there's a limited amount of people and resources. And if it's too much to handle, it's too much to handle.
Yeah.
What's going to suffer is the people calling for help, right?
All around, whether they're fire personnel or civilians.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that leads us into our story today. I want you to listen to this story and understand this story from that perspective. That is what's going on. We're during the first night of the riots. And it was nighttime, right? At this point. So it had already sparked off and been going
it was going on way before you even got there.
So why don't you start us off just start us off at the very beginning, man. Like maybe like right when you guys started realizing that there was going to be an issue going on. You're working at Life Force 50.
I was at Station 50. I was working a sod day. It was an A shift day. I was normally I was assigned a C shift on the 50s.
Okay.
So I was working a sod day that day. Just a normal morning. Obviously, we're all watching the trial and everything was going on during that day. And then, I don't know, just things started erupting.
Yeah. And you guys are at, where is Light Force 50?
Light Force 50 is in East LA on Fletcher, just off the 2 freeway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glassell Park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where's it
Glassell,
called?
exactly. Glassell Park. It's been a long time since
Yeah.
years and years. Anyway, so we were just, doing our normal thing at the station. And all of a sudden we get the call from OCD, and they say, move up to South Central area. I forget exactly what area they dispatched us to, but we just started moving up.
OCD is what we used to call Metro.
Yeah, Operations
Metro
Control
now
Division.
Used to
yeah.
be Operations Control
Yeah.
Division, dispatch basically.
That's back in the
And
early days.
essentially, when a area is beginning to be overwhelmed, or those units are attached to an incident or a structure fire or something like that, typically what will happen is another unit from another part of the city, Metro, will move them up into their station to cover their area while they're taking care of whatever emergency
Right.
they're taking care of.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they called Light Force 50, said, "Hey, move up to South Central, whatever station."
Yeah, I forget what. It wasn't to a station. It was just to an area.
To the area.
And all of a sudden, I don't know, just moving up, and I guess it was late in the afternoon, early evening. We just started going different places, and there's so many fires going on. Everybody just started going to their own fires. We were assisting some companies that were like single engine company, needed some roof work because we're a truck and an engine, so we're 250 and truck 50.
Right.
So we were just responding some different fires, put them out, and then go somewhere else. Well, this time before we went to this incident on Vernon, Vermont, we were at another fire. I think it was with Engine 11. They were putting out a fire, and we went to assist them. At the time, our captain, we had the truck, and myself, and the engineer, myself. He was checking to see if there's any roof work where this Engine 11 was putting out the fire, and there wasn't any. And while he was the captain was on the roof, he noticed there was another fire. I think it was like west of where we were. And he said, "Okay, there's no roof work here. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, nothing to do here.
Nothing to do here.
Let's go see where else
to
we
this
can
other
be helpful."
fire."
So I'm sorry. At this point, you guys aren't really being dispatched to anything. You're just
No.
looking and just going where you see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what happened was I was listening to radio because I there was nothing for me to do. I was just sitting in the rig, listening to radio and observing what's going on while the captain and his crew, there were 6 of us, obviously, the captain, the apparatus operator, the driver of the truck,
Right.
3 firemen and myself.
Right.
I mean, was that 6 of us? Yeah.
Kelly, pull this microphone
Yeah,
right
a little
close to
closer
your
to
mouth.
you.
Okay.
There you go.
Great.
Yeah, so there's a total of 6 of us. And those, the other 5 guys were checking out what's going on with the fire. I'm sitting in my engine, listening to radio. And when the captain came up to me and said, "Okay, we're going to go to this fire here," just before he said that, OCD came on the air and said, "All companies, do not dispatch yourself to your own fires. We're losing track of you." Well,
See that happening. Yeah.
apparently
It's so funny looking back in retrospect and all the little signs
They tried.
that
Yeah,
the
they
universe
tried.
is trying
Right.
to give you.
Exactly. Well, I don't know if the captain heard that or not. I told him, and he said, "Well, we're going to go to this fire here." So that's what we did. We just pulled out and just responded to this structure fire. It's a big fire in Vernon, Vermont. We noticed all of a sudden this ABC Market and the strip mall, a large parking lot, large fire going in this fully involved.
Can we put
fires.
that diagram up? Just take a peek at what we're talking about here.
Did you guys dispatch yourselves to OCD at that point? When
We just dispatched ourselves to this fire. We just went.
Okay. So
But-
they don't know that you're there.
They don't know we're there right now.
Okay.
No,
And-
so
and
we're
it-
going.
And it should be stated that at this point, it's mayhem on the streets, right?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there's
mean-
looting and people running all over the place.
Yeah,
and
we're talking about the first night of the LA riots.
Yeah.
It was, bedlam out there. There was
Yeah.
fires everywhere, especially right here where we're talking about Vernon and Vermont
Mhm.
is, I don't know, maybe a mile from Florence and Normandy.
Yeah, about.
or so
yeah,
about.
I guess, yeah.
Maybe a little
So when you talk about the riots sparking off at Florence and Normandy and spreading from there, this is right at the heart of where it started.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that intersection too, it's a bunch of small shops. It's a very crowded and bustling, busy intersection. There's a lot of small shops.
Oh yeah.
And these markets here, you got to remember all these markets were being looted and set on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the scene that they're pulling up to when they
Yeah.
say, "Hey, we're going to dispatch this on fire." It's people running in the street,
Mhm.
fires everywhere, smoke, in the air, and looting and mayhem going on in the street. So
Exactly.
go ahead.
So anyway, we're coming down Vernon, and then we turn right onto Vermont. There's a hydrant there, so I stop. The fireman gets out and hooks up the hose to the hydrant. I pull into the parking lot. The truck's ahead of me. They're getting ready for a ladder pipe operation.
Okay.
So they're setting up for ladder pipe. I'm setting up. I'm connecting my hose. I get water to my engine, and I'm ready to pump. That moment, the captain comes around and says, "Go ahead and load the line," because apparently they're ready for the wagon battery. Ladder pipe. And at that moment, a gang member pulls up behind me, and with an AK-47, and he tells me, "Let the fire burn." He's just pointing the gun at me, and I said, "Okay, fine." And so
Sitting in the car.
Actually he's outside.
Oh, he's out of the car.
Yeah, he's out of the car. Walked up to me and said, "Let the fire burn." I said, "Okay." So I immediately run around the other side of the engine because I'm right now on my panel side, as you can see where the hose is connected. I go on the other side because I know the captain's there. He's like looking at the fire and seeing what
You could tell the guy that you're going to go tell the rest of the guys or something, or you just
I just go around and tell the captain, "Okay, Cap," I'd say, "Cap, I can't load the line because," and all of a sudden we turn around and there's the gang member right there pointing the AK-47 at both of our heads. We're standing right next to each other.
He followed you.
Followed me, yes. Man. And now we have our hands up, and the captain has his radio, handy-talkie, in one hand, and we're both with our hands up. And then the guy says, "Let the fire burn," and he says, "Oh, give me your CB radio." He calls it a CB.
Yeah.
And so the captain says, "Okay, here's my radio. Please don't shoot us." And that's it. And then he takes the radio and heads off. Okay, well, I thought, okay, we're done now. Let's get the hell out of here. Captain goes up towards the truck, the front of the truck.
Yeah.
I go around back to my panel side to shut down. So I'm shutting down. Obviously, I still have water in my hose,
Right.
and the hose line, so I can't, stop that. And then, as soon as I'm doing that, another car pulls up from behind me, and another gang member gets out. I turn around, and he's pointing the gun at me, and he says, "Give me your radio." So I take my radio out and just hand it to him, and then he leaves. The car takes off.
Are
and
these
he's gone.
different guys now, or the same group? Or do you know?
They're, I think, might be the same group. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell you. I'm not looking at them.
Right.
Anyway, so he takes my radio. So now he has two of our radios, mine and the captain's radio. They take off, and I say, "Okay, well, hopefully they're gone." I continue to shut down, and the next moment I know, I hear some gunshots. Boom, boom, boom. I look down towards the front of the truck, as you can see on the thing right there,
Right.
where I'm faced. I'm looking towards the front of the truck.
Right. On
You're
the panel
you're
side.
On the panel side.
I'm on the panel
so
side where the
toward
hose is.
store.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I hear these gunshots. I look, I see this gang member running towards the front of the truck, shooting his AK-47 at the front of the truck.
Oh, shit.
So I immediately go back around to the passenger side, on the other side of the cab, jump in the cab, get on the radio, and yell for help. And there's a video on that. Do you want to show that?
A special plan had been worked out in advance between the fire department and the police department. In the case of civil disorder, fire trucks would have police escorts. That plan falls apart.
So you are in the cab, passenger side of the engine.
Yes.
Shots are ringing out to the front of the truck. You don't know where anybody is.
No, I don't know where anybody is. I get on the radio and say, "OCD, Light Force 50, shots fired." They come back and tell me, "Light Force 50, we're working on trying to get PD. Unfortunately, you're on your own. You know, you're no PD available.
Oh man,
That's what I heard.
So, how far did your heart sink when you heard that?
I
Was
said,
the
"Oh,
shooting still happening while you're
No, that
yelling
was
for
over.
this on the radio?
No,
Okay.
I guess it stopped, but
Yeah.
it was a quick shooting.
Sure.
So I get out of the cab, not knowing what's going on with those, the guy and the other members.
Because when you're talking on the radio, I'm assuming you're ducked down.
Oh yeah, I'm ducked down.
underneath.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Down where the feet go.
Yeah, I'm ducked
Okay.
down.
So you pop your head back up right after
Yeah, I
they
look
tell
up
you
there
no
and
dice?
then I don't see anybody else, so I go outside on between my rig right here, like between the rig and the fire,
Yeah.
and I felt safe. Okay, and then just I head towards the front of the truck, and I realize there's nobody around. I am by myself here.
Everyone's scattered.
Yeah, and all I see is like in the ABC market, people coming out, looting the place, carrying
Right.
whatever, they're out
They don't
there.
even notice the shooting.
No, they didn't care.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
There are
And
probably
then-
gunshots going off,
Yeah,
all over the place.
Yeah, I'm
that
sure.
day.
But
Yeah.
right next to you there. Yeah.
exactly. So I'm looking around, and all of a sudden I look across the street, and I see the other guys across the street waving to me. And I said, "Oh shoot, I gotta go across this place."
Yeah.
That was the scariest part for me is crossing that parking lot, going across the street to meet up with them.
Sure.
I felt safer just staying at the rig.
Are they on Vernon or Vermont?
They are on actually, you can see they're on Vermont right there.
Across the street on Vermont.
Okay, where that I have the industrial building, the commercial
Uh-huh,
building.
Right.
They were standing right there in the corner. So I run from the front of the truck all the way across the parking lot to across the street.
Where was the shooter shooting from? Or
The
where was
shooter,
the car parked?
the car, there wasn't any car at the time. He was just running.
Oh, you said he ran over and
He was, like,
firing-
running. He was
running across the parking lot.
He was just walking across the parking lot shooting, randomly shooting apparently.
The front
But it
of the
looked
truck.
like it was right at the truck.
And no one knows where he went or what happened with him, right?
No, I have no clue where he went.
Just random guy living
just
in
shot, yeah.
LA now, for all we know. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's like, Kelly brought this book that was put out by, I don't know if it says on there who it was put out by, but
No, it doesn't say.
It has a
it's
chief's name on it.
Yeah, it's a book that's
Chief Manning. or
I'm sure
something.
you worked on it.
in every fire station that basically breaks down the entire riots.
Mhm.
I mean, it breaks down like every incident of
And this book is thick.
people
It is.
missing, people that went missing in structure fires. I mean, it breaks down every case of someone dying, everything in that book. It's pretty comprehensive and pretty amazing, actually.
It is. It's got a good timeline and everything.
It's crazy as you're telling the story. I'm wondering if you shutting down and standing at your panel and doing everything shutting down looked like you were still trying to pump to the fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't think they thought about that.
Not even thinking about it.
No,
that
they
much,
weren't even
yeah.
thinking about
It was just
that.
mayhem out there.
Yeah,
huh?
it was total mayhem. And then when I hooked up with them on the corner there, we walked past that commercial building. There's a little house right there on the other side where a Hispanic family was living. Yeah, very, very wonderful family. They put us up in there, in their house. And so we were all six of us were in the house with the family. They gave us water, and it was really nice. And we were there, it felt like an hour or more.
Yeah.
But I think it was a little less than an hour, maybe 45 minutes. Finally, the PD, the SWAT team came. They located us because the other guys had their radios, so they were able to
okay.
contact
That's
OCD.
what I asked.
Yeah, so they came by, picked us up, drove us back to our rigs, and the rigs were already, the hose was already put back by another company was there because everything apparently was already cleared.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it was cleared. So that was, that was great. We didn't have to pick up our own hose.
Yeah.
So all we did was
Beautiful.
get on our rigs,
One
and they
thing worked
said,
out.
God was
Yeah.
like, you know what? They had enough tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
They had enough tonight.
yeah. So what they did is then they told us to go to the command post, which was at the Arlington bus depot. I
Right.
guess it's in Arlington. Anyway, we drove there, stayed there, and they told us, we're not sending you guys out. First of all, you don't have any roofs on your cab. There's another picture of the the rigs.
That's
No,
the
the other-
shooting. Those
well,
are the bullets.
Those are the bullets
Those should-
right there.
yeah.
That's how we were
Perfect.
actually set up. I don't know when they took this picture, but the Cedar truck doesn't have a roof. Mine
Sure,
has
yeah.
a roof on it because it's an old Seagrave. But they said no companies without roofs are going back into the fire
Oh, really?
or back into the
Yeah.
situation. So we stayed there the rest of the night, and then in the morning during shift change we drove back to our station, and that was basically it for us.
Oh, wow, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know they still had trucks out with no roofs in '92.
Yeah.
What year was that
reserve.
one?
That was 92. That's
That model there,
70s,
like 75 or something.
76,
yeah, in the
77.
70s. Yeah.
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 And so is the engine. That's an old
Probably a reserve at the
canopy
time or
that they
something.
put on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are reserved. They're not. They're
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
not
they're
even
gone
used
now.
anymore. Yeah, no, they're gone.
Yeah, not at all.
But
yeah.
anyway, like you said, the other picture he had previously showed the bullet holes where the truck was shot at. Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you can see, the cluster of bullets.
Man,
That's where he shot at. We didn't see that until obviously we got back to.
it's good. 15
Busted.
rounds.
Yeah, it was like. Luckily, there was nobody sitting there. The captain
Yeah.
was not sitting there at the time.
Seagrave took it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? There doesn't even barely a dent in
Um,
that thing. Those things are built for war.
They were.
Wow.
how many fires would you estimate you guys had have been to that night before this happened? I know it was fairly early in the evening, right? About 10
Yeah, we
o'clock
were
at
just
night.
going to different ones, just knocking down some fires, helping other companies. So I can't remember exactly how many we went
just
to.
a
It was just
handful.
a whole,
Yeah, those
chaos.
It's strange because something like that happens, and then you start going like you guys did in the in the riots, and 63s did a little bit here in mid Wilshire just this past fall. The fires are almost a little bit more dangerous because you don't have like a full. I shouldn't say a little bit more dangerous. They're a lot more dangerous because you don't have a full complement of people there working like you
Right.
would at a normal
Yeah.
structure fire. So you might not have a light force to go up on the like they were going. Hey, do you guys have any roof work or anything
Yeah.
to be done? You know,
They're just checking.
you might just be an engine going around, and you have a structure fire going on. You want to get some water on it, but you don't have relief from the roof team opening up a hole up there.
No.
You
Right.
know what I mean? So there was a lot of like shooting through windows, shooting through front doors just to knock down a bulk of the fire.
Yeah.
And then
leaving hot
moving on to
spots.
yeah,
something
there was
new.
no overhaul whatsoever.
Yeah, there was no
Right.
overhaul.
just-
Yeah.
You-
Rekindle City.
they were just literally going from fire to fire.
Yeah,
I'm interested in that period of time where you guys are huddled across the street. And then how do you find this house?
apparently, when I was still by myself, which
Right.
messing around with my panel and everything, they've already. I don't know what their situation was. They already went across the street, and apparently the Hispanic family saw them out there, and said, "Come on in." So they were already in there previously before I got there, and then they realized, "Wait a minute, I'm not there. Hey, we're missing somebody." So they
Oh,
came back
man.
out to the
So-
corner.
So they
Yeah.
saw the gun, said, "We're out of here." You saw the gun, said, "Let me disconnect my hose real quick."
Yeah, I think they were out of there before that gunfire to the truck.
Yeah. Okay. I
But
got it.
previously, I mean, there was other gang members all over the place. So
Sure.
I don't know what their situation was as far as confronting them and everything else after the incident with myself and the captain.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know if other members from your crew also had an incident with other gang members?
No, what I think there was one guy on. I vaguely remember there was a guy on the ladder
Mhm.
setting up for the ladder pipe,
Right.
and I think he saw that gang member from above.
Ah.
The gang member didn't see him, but he saw the gang member holding us up, myself and the captain.
Yeah. He goes, oh, shit.
So he apparently just took off and told the other guys. And then the captain,
Cap's dead. We're out of here.
Well-
The hell, buddy?
anyway, I think the captain went up to the front of the truck where the other guys were, and they must have said, "Let's get out of here,"
Yeah.
thinking I'm probably behind them
Sure,
also.
yeah. Smart.
And I was thinking, well, let's get the hell out of here with the rigs. I
Yeah, I was
want to
gonna
get my
say,
rig
yeah,
here.
their idea was just ditch the rigs
Yeah,
on foot.
yeah.
I would think you feel safer with the rig.
Yeah,
me
I was
too,
going.
man.
I was going
I
down.
don't want to be in the streets.
I was going
and-
down
Yeah,
my ship.
in a dark blue uniform.
Yeah, I was going down with my ship. That's what.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kelly had the right idea here.
Yeah,
I don't know about the
exactly.
rest of 50. Sounds like a reprimand. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Jeez, abandoned
Well-
the equipment. So they all huddle up across the street, find this family,
Yeah.
and then they go, oh, shit, where's Kelly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it.
Essentially,
And then
yeah.
they come back. Okay, then they go back to the corner, and then
Then
that's
they're
when
relieved.
That's when
that they see
I'm
you.
coming up to the front of the truck, and that's when I see them. They're waving to me, and I said, "Okay," and I'm going across, and that was the scariest part. Like I said earlier,
Yeah.
that was
You're
the
out in the open
scariest
at that
part.
point.
Yeah, I'm
and
yeah.
who knows where that guy is?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
This is rolling 40s guy just sitting in the parking lot somewhere, mixed in with the crowd.
Yeah, especially
You have
when
no
there's
idea.
everybody who's running on the streets and
Exactly.
running.
Yep.
So there wasn't a fence around
No.
that parking lot at
no,
the time,
that was
right?
an
There
open.
is
It's an open
now.
parking lot. Oh, there
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a fence around the whole parking lot,
No,
so
no.
it's a wide open parking lot.
It was wide open.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
and there's so many people out there looting and everything.
It's like
so.
it's like a Ross now, isn't it? Or something?
I think
Is that where that is?
It's a numero uno market.
Numero
Corner
uno.
right there.
okay.
It might be a Ross in
in
that.
the
It's
ne-
a
in the-
strip
yeah,
on that side.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a large, huge
Okay.
parking lot, huge
Yeah.
supermarket and
Oh,
strip
okay.
mall on the
Yeah.
side there.
Right.
Yeah. What was the investigation like afterwards? Like, did they have? I know it was the first night of the riots,
Mhm.
so everyone's probably overwhelmed. But at some point, did they come and do like a full investigation?
I believe they did. I didn't, we didn't hear anything about it. What we did later, I think it was a few days later, we went back to visit the family to put us up, and we got a picture with them.
Oh, that's great.
A
okay.
wonderful family. But unfortunately, I think a day later, they got their house burned down.
No,
Yeah,
no.
it really was horrible because I don't know,
Jeez.
nobody got hurt, but their house had
But they
burned down because
lost,
they're
yeah.
still part of the rioting
Still
going
there,
on
yeah.
and still
right
there.
right in the
Yeah.
mix. Surrounded by
So-
commercial buildings too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh, that's
it was
terrible.
terrible. Yeah, it was very terrible.
Well, thanks for the downer, Kelly. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
Yeah.
Pretty good story going there.
Yeah.
So they send you back to the bus depot. We read in the big book here,
Mhm.
300 pages and like a 50-page index. This thing.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what
yeah.
I mean?
It's no
Yeah,
joke,
they
dude.
dot
I read
the
it as a rookie.
I's cross the
That's
T's.
the type of
okay?
shit you
Yeah.
read when you're a rookie and
Yeah.
you're bored at Fire Station 87.
So a little bit of the numbers here. Yeah, they had the staging at the bus depot on Arlington
Arlington,
and
yeah.
54th,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a big metro station there. So they had you guys just sit there till
Just
6.
sat there. Yeah. Till
And then are you off the rest of the riots? Did you just
Yeah.
pick up?
Our shift was we went back to station, and then they had when we got back the other shift, which is the B shift coming on. They were sent out to the areas.
They just got reserve.
No,
And
they
just
used
with
the
shot?
used the rig.
They used the bullet?
Well,
Bullet hole rig?
no, I think they shut that one down, but they used their engine. The engine went out.
Oh,
So we
okay,
know-
Got it.
Full
So I don't
stack
think
engine.
the
shut down.
I don't think engine 50 did not move up because they had to stay with their station for the area. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just the light force that first day. The second day, the engine moved up there and did their thing.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, that was my last shift of the station.
That was your last day?
That was my
the
last
riots?
day. Yeah. Yeah. I put in for a station closer to where I live. I live in the marina. I put in
Okay.
for 59s, and
Oh,
I got
is
it.
that right?
Yeah, I got it in the end of the month. I left.
So you were supposed to cook?
Yeah,
You're supposed to put
I
it
got
in.
out of
Oh,
cooking.
you
Yeah.
got out of that, huh?
I got out of cooking. Yes.
wow.
There is a happy ending to this story.
I know, right?
So-
Yeah, you
That
have
was
to
my
do your
last
last
shift,
dinner,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful
So then you just report to 59s after the riots? Hi, guys.
Yeah, that was it.
All right.
Yeah,
Not
so
bad.
I met my wife. We weren't even married, and we were just cruising Westwood Boulevard at the time. The next day, trying to find some place to eat. There was nothing. It was like ghost town.
Yeah, everything
everywhere.
shut down.
Yeah, it
The
was
next
everything.
day of the riots, you
Yeah.
were trying to have a date?
Yeah, I had a
After
date
you got
with her.
shot at?
Yes.
Hey, man,
Wow.
seize the day, right?
You know
At
what
that
I mean?
point, you gotta
Romance
seize the
waits
day.
for no one.
Right.
Nothing can stop this.
Nope.
All right.
So you guys were just dating at the time.
Yes. we
Do
were.
you recall? Do you want to
We
pull
should
that
say
and
Kelly's
chat a
wife
little
is here
bit?
also, guys.
Debbie?
Yes.
Debbie, this is Debbie Kilmartin, Kelly's wife. Do you recall that night? Like, did he?
I remember that I couldn't find him. I mean, you hear what's going on and
Sure.
you're watching everything, but I tried calling.
Yeah, the station,
Yes.
the Grapevine. So there's no cell phones.
No, there are no cell phones.
1992. There's no cell phones.
social media.
There's one telephone in every fire station
Right.
at that time that's like a house phone. It's a regular old number. It's not a city line or anything. It's a house line. It was what we called the Grapevine, right? You heard it through the Grapevine.
Wasn't it
And
a payphone?
It's actually,
Yeah,
I mean, some of them
like
were.
Then they were
Yeah.
payphones.
Some
Yeah,
of them
yeah.
were like a disconnected payphone that you never really had to pay.
Yeah.
Maybe back in the day you did, but it was
I
always
just remember
just,
there being payphones.
it was
yeah.
the phone for family to call when your kids wanted to talk to you. You want to
Yeah.
talk to the wife before you went to bed. That was the phone that you called. Hey, is my dad there? Well, who's your dad? Benny. Okay, and go get our dad. That's the Grapevine. So
Right.
that's the phone you're trying to call, get a hold of him
Yeah,
while
there's
he's out.
no answer.
Sure.
There's no way of reaching anyone. We had just started dating. And looking to see what's out there and knowing that he's somewhere probably in the middle of that because you were of where that station was located. I figure you were
Right in the
somewhere.
mix. Yeah.
And it was pretty scary.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah, I'll
scary.
bet. Do you recall the first time hearing from him after the incident?
The next, I don't know if it was the next day or the day after.
What day of the week was this? Do you
The
remember?
29th.
Oh.
I don't remember what day of the week it was,
Hold
but
on.
I think
it was a Thursday.
Thursday. I think it was like in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
And we got together and we were, my work schedule was crazy and his was too. We finally got together and we went to look for something to eat.
Yeah.
And it was shut down.
Yeah.
Just everything shut down. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. It must have
Very
been-
scary.
I can only imagine. We want to get our mom on here one show too, just to talk about what it's like being a fire wife. You know, especially back in the day, back then when you didn't have contact all the time. You know, could have gone out on a fire or something like this. You know, and
Right.
you have no idea as a wife or a family member what's going on out there, and you hear stories and you see things on the news too of police being assaulted. I mean, there was a firefighter that was shot.
Yep.
You know, you hear those stories coming out and you just don't know.
Mhm.
My mom tells a story of when Benjamin Pennell died
Oh, yeah.
in the Proud Bird
Proud
fire
Bird, yeah.
Mhm.
in the
Yes.
early 80s. You know, our dad's Benjamin Gonzalez. But driving and hearing on the radio that there was a tragic fire at the Proud Bird and firefighter Benjamin and her heart sinking, you know,
Oh,
until the
yeah.
radio. But hearing it on AM radio,
Right.
that's, I mean, essentially how it was back then. You had no
Mhm.
way of getting in
That's how
touch
you
or
found out.
knowing until you.
It's kind of always a fear.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And it's something that you don't think about a lot, you know, that kind of backseat stress that you must carry as a fire wife.
I
or
think
a
the
family member.
younger wives with young kids, I think they have a different. I don't know. I think they have a different perspective. I'm not sure why, because
Yeah.
I was not a young wife with young children.
Sure.
We got married a little later in life, but it runs through your head every day,
Yeah.
every morning,
I'd imagine. Yeah.
every morning that he left. It runs through your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.
And then when you have the Twin Towers and you're watching that together and
sure.
he leaves or an earthquake or Malibu fires and,
Anything, yeah.
you know, it doesn't stop. It's,
Sure. And we go and we show up and we're
You
working
guys
and
go
doing
and
all
do
this
your
stuff and we're
thing.
playing, slapping ass with the guys and joking and stuff like that and having
Yeah.
fun. I mean, it's dangerous and stuff like that, but we're having, and you're sitting there like,
we're
you
home
know,
worried.
more worried. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny, man. It's a strange dynamic that we should touch on.
It is a strange
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic
it is.
because I think everyone has a different
There's a few
perspective.
Things. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's a few things here we can keep coming back to because the riots in general. We've
Oh,
touched
yeah.
on it a little bit here and there. This was a really cool story. I didn't know about this before.
Yeah.
I thought I heard the other shooting stories because our dad knew Scott Miller, the
Yeah, yeah,
AO
yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
Scott
shot.
Miller,
I didn't
yeah.
know there were other. I knew that 64s they shot at the station,
Yeah.
but I didn't know about other.
Dude,
I hadn't heard the story before.
Now this whole story is in the book.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
okay, good.
I actually have it.
I would imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
That's
just
right.
make sure. But yeah, the book is full of funky little stories, man. We
Yeah.
could probably go flip through there.
Yeah.
Find it,
The crazy tidbit that I saw in there was that there were over 6,500 runs in the first 36 hours.
Insanity.
Of the riots.
Yeah.
That's a year of runs in a pretty busy, medium-sized city department.
Easily.
Yeah,
Easily,
a
yeah.
year
Easily.
of
Definitely.
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah.
That number is insane.
In a
It gives
day
you-
and a half.
it should give you an idea of just how overwhelmed all of the city's resources
Mhm.
were,
Yeah,
especially on that night, that
Yeah.
first night.
Nowhere is equipped to handle that.
Let me ask you this, Kelly. How long is that audio clip? Do you know about how long it is?
I'd say about less than 30 seconds.
Okay, gotcha. How are we doing on time, man?
We got like 20 minutes still.
Okay.
So then you go into 59s, and you're basically a badass. You stared down an AK from a gangster. Like, are you like a legend now?
Yeah.
Walking the streets of
No,
West LA?
I told the story, but I'm very laid back. I'm very shy. I don't toot my own horn, so to speak.
Were you guys? Did the city give you any kind of recognition for this, or did you guys?
The thing was, when the guys were safe, other than me,
Yeah.
the other 5 guys, they were in the house, but safe. They came back out to the corner, waving me on. They got a medal of valor for putting
For
himself
coming back out?
Coming back out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the guys left me. So
The medal.
So
of
you're
not
actually
forgetting.
dodging bullets, trying to load the hose so
Right?
so the department doesn't lose the hose or the rigs,
yeah,
and they get the Medal of Valor for coming back out.
Yeah.
God bless
yeah.
them.
So that was
Wow.
That's pretty funny. Well, hey,
Interesting.
you have the Medal of Valor in my heart, buddy.
thank you.
All right.
Yeah, man, that is really some story. The flip end of this is there is some old gangster somewhere in South Central who just tells this story.
Yeah,
to-
come here,
to
little
the
whippersnappers.
kids.
Let me tell you about the
Yeah,
time.
it was one time. Let me tell you about
Come
the
here, you little
riots.
gangsters. Let me tell you about how I shot them up.
Well,
You know what I'm
I-
saying?
Want me to tell
I'll
my
tell you,
story?
there's something several years later. We learned a couple days later, the gang member that held us, my
Yeah.
captain and myself,
Sure.
his street name was Psycho.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Ah.
he had that's what the PD called him. That's what his name was, Psycho.
Sure.
We found
Yeah,
out
indeed.
later.
Fitting moniker.
Several years later, my wife was on jury duty. I'll let her tell you.
Go
the
ahead.
story.
Whoa. Please.
So I'm on jury duty, criminal courts, sitting there waiting to they're picking the jury. So I'm
Sure.
sitting there in the jury box. And the defendant was already in an orange jumpsuit defending himself.
Okay.
And his nickname was Psycho. And when they brought that up, I freaked out.
Oh man. Yeah.
We had a break. I went out and I told the bailiff that I think this could be, I don't know for sure, but this could be the same guy that held an AK-47 to my husband's head during the riots. And this guy's looking at me like,
Yeah.
I'm nuts. He goes, oh my gosh, you have to talk to the judge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went, yeah, I do.
Because it could
'Cause
be a
I'm
mistrial too. If
I'm
if the defense
scared.
finds out, right?
And he was the defense.
Oh yeah.
He was defending himself.
Oh, he was his own.
This story
his
is
own lawyer.
so
counsel.
crazy.
So
Wow.
I'm freaking out. The bailiff's freaking out. The judge calls me up. Well, because he was defending himself, he had to go up
Yeah.
to the
Wow.
lawyers came
Right.
up with me.
Sidebar.
Oh my God.
Sidebar, exactly. So I told the judge my story, and she's just looking at me like, oh my God, what am I going to do here? Go back and sit down.
And the guy's right next to you hearing it?
Yeah, he's listening. And
Did he react at
a little
all?
bit,
Yeah.
a little bit, but I still don't know for sure.
Wow.
So I
man.
go back, but he must have known something because I was sitting in that jury box for a long time. He would not release me as a juror. They can go back and forth, and
Sure. Yeah.
and he wouldn't release me, and the judge finally took it upon herself,
To release it.
and
yeah.
she released me.
Yeah. Wow.
Amazing.
So I don't
It
know to
wouldn't
this
surprise me,
day.
though, but it wouldn't surprise
Yeah.
me.
When they said his name, it just
Wow. So you were shot at by an attorney.
right.
A licensed
Who does
Yes,
not
I
get
was.
A
it?
licensed
Wow.
attorney in an
Licensed-
orange
This is
jumpsuit.
crazy.
Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, it's freaky.
Yeah, who knew?
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's just funny. It's funny how things like that happen in life, or the connections that you have with different people, whether they're good or bad,
Yeah.
or signs, Metro talking to you, little signs, it's something I like to try to pay a lot of attention to in my life. Just having gone through so many different things and ups and downs and stuff like that, and reflecting on things, I always find these little, God, isn't that weird that this happened before this, or that happened before that, or shit, if I had just listened to, Ben when he said this or whatever. And so I always try to pay close attention to signs like that in my life, but it's so funny. 7 years later, man.
The
And-
odds, though, of running
Well,
into
the odds.
Psycho in jury duty, and he's his own attorney,
Blows my mind.
and you have to bring it up to the judge with him right there
Blows my mind.
and see if it clicks in his head.
I mean, that you did jury duty to begin with is a miracle these days,
I do it a lot.
Yeah, and thank you so much for
civic
doing your
duty.
civic duty.
Yeah,
I-
this.
I
She's
do
had
it
some
too,
good
and I
ones.
tend to get released when they find out I'm a firefighter.
Yeah.
But
yeah, me too.
but
No, she's had some
Not
good jury duties.
Yeah, some good cases. Maybe we'll have to have her back, do a whole jury duty episode.
I'm a comedian. I do a whole bit about jury duty, and that pretty much gets me out of jury duty.
Great.
That's awesome. Shoot, we cover everything.
Pretty much, man. We were pretty good with this one.
What an amazing story. Yeah, what an amazing story. It's funny, man, because I've got 18 years on the job now, you know, and we grew up. Our dad was on the fire department, as you know, and so it's funny these stages you grow up like you know, as a kid coming up and seeing the firefighters and being just like amazed at like, oh my God, it's like this. These guys are gods to me, you know. Paramedics too. We're just like, I can't believe, you know, I'm in the presence of these guys, and then coming up and, you know, you're a young fireman and going to these fires and actually going to some kick-ass fires and being involved with some serious situations and developing your own stories and stuff. And then now I'm a little bit older. I don't really go to fires anymore. I'm assigned to the rescue. and the younger kids coming up, you know, or hey, you know, you always wind up telling these old tales from when you were younger and you were a raw firefighter. Yeah. And so it's always nice for me anytime I have a chance to talk to somebody who's retired or you know, I work at, you know, 80s or I work at 23s or 19s or someplace where, you know, the guys with a lot of experience tend to work. I love sitting down and asking them, hey man, tell me a crazy story from the 80s, you know, or tell me
some of our best episodes, man.
Some of our best episodes, but you wind up with stories. I mean, this book is full of stories, but there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories from guys. And that's kind of what the point of this podcast is. You know what I mean? To kind of get these little smaller told stories out, talk to the guys who went through it, the gals that went through it, and give people who would otherwise have no idea about this world a little bit of perspective on what it's like to be in this world. Kelly, thank you so much for coming and telling us your story, man. What an awesome story.
Thank you very much for having me.
Debbie,
it was fun.
Thank you for sharing your husband with us and for telling us your story.
You guys are great. So many kickers to that story, but the crew getting recognition for it, and not Kelly.
Unbelievable.
That's insane.
Listen, Chief Terrazas, if you are listening to this, we got to get this man an award, okay? I mean,
post-retirement
recognition. It is a travesty.
Where's the relief
that the other guys? He tried to save your rigs and your hose. All right,
Madness.
Kelly Kilmartin. We'll talk. I'll have my people call your people. Listen, folks. Please go if you like this episode. Even if you didn't like it, if you could lie and fudge and go and hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast, comment, do all that stuff, rate the podcast, please. It helps us. We're at a point where we're growing now, and we would like to keep it growing and keep getting exposed to some more people. Before we take off, guys, I'm wearing the first drop of the Centigrade clothing t-shirt line today. This is our Venice Fire 63 by the Sea shirt. We're going to do a pre-sale for it June 20th, and it should start shipping out the 27th. That's going to be on firefightercrafted.com, and we'll be posting some more information about that.
Get your orders in.
Yeah, you can find me on Danny Gonzo at DannyGonzo34 on Instagram and Twitter.
Follow me at Ben9Humor, Ben number 9 Humor, like the 9th humor, on Instagram and Twitter. Follow the show at PRC Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or at PRC Podcast on TikTok. You can also email us at contactprcpod@gmail.com if you have questions or complaints, or you want to buy a t-shirt or get some stickers sent to you.
Or we had a lot of new subscribers and followers over the past couple weeks. Guys, if you are listening and you are from a small department, or you have a father or a family member on the job, or anybody that had or just somebody that you know on the street that had something funky happen to them, had to call 911, were exposed to the emergency services system, and you'd like to be on the show, please email us. Let us know your story. We'd love to hear your story and have you on.
And if you are an employee of the Seagrave Corporation and you want these hot photos that prove that your old rigs can withstand an AK-47 assault, email us.
All
right.
Thank
Thank you,
guys.
Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it, and with a little bit of soul, no times.